All right, all right. Hello, hello. Welcome everyone back to the famous, it's not infamous, it's the famous happy hour show. What is going on? Buck Phiat had a slightly busy day. You and Dylan both, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
we sure did. Yeah, we sure did. It's been a busy couple of weeks. Dylan has been burning the candle at both ends. I woke up at 4 a.m. my time, and I've just been talking to people all morning long. But yeah, we had a pretty successful little launch of the famous sacrifice.
Little
So
launch. Yeah.
little launch. Yeah, not bad for a bear
Yeah.
market, I think.
What's a few
So
Yeah.
million or more? Yeah.
yeah. But nothing compared to where we were in the bull market. Like Richard's $1 billion for Pulse is a little bit bigger than what we were able to accomplish this morning. But we're still enthralled about it, and yeah, we're really grateful as well.
Awesome, awesome. So I know we'll have a few questions. I have a few just to hopefully maybe clarify. I know there's some things that can't be answered just yet. Motley Investor, welcome. Nice shirt, man.
Thank you. Thank you. I can't stay long. I'm about to go out, so I just wanted to hop on real quick and congratulate the guys again on their launch.
Heck yeah. This is going to be a quick
Thanks, sir.
show, likely 60 minutes or less. So just get the information on the famous SAC out there and recap that and some headlines with Buck and Dylan. And, like Motley said, bear market. So not too much to talk about yet, just some speculation and whatnot. But I take it, Motley, you participated and witnessed the proceedings at, I believe it was a little over 2 hours ago, 3 p.m. Eastern.
Yep, I did. I also sacrificed for Fiat, so I'm fully invested in the Buck ecosystem along with the Richard Hart ecosystem. So here's the hoping it does well. I think literally my only hang up with sacrificing for this project wasn't even something that like Buck and his team could control, and that was just the fact of the unknown to Pulse Chain. And right now that's on Richard Hart and his devs. So that was my only hang up on even considering deploying capital for the sacrifice was that factor. Outside of that, I think the team has done a great job just with everything, how they've gone about the launch, the product, the market fit, everything. It works for me. It checks all the boxes. So I didn't have any issues with that. Just giving up capital now is just kind of tough as we wait on this ecosystem to exist. Yeah.
Yep. Well, we've talked to a participant. I guess, Buck, in your eyes, the big day finally came. I mean, I guess it's still here. People can still sack, but I guess if we can just recap, what got us here. Did it go to your expectations? We can say expectations just based upon not future work, but actually what happened since it's in the past now. And what were your thoughts on that? The whole thing.
Yeah, so I think in general, we were sort of bang on with what I thought personally would happen. I was kind of thinking we would get a few million in the door pretty quickly, and that's what happened. I think from our perspective, this is great news because it means we'll have a reasonably decent sized TVL when we go to launch eFiat on Ethereum. So that's the really good news here. Not losing sight of, everybody likes to think about money and things like that, but what this means is now that we'll have a reasonably sized TVL for eFiat, and you're going to be able to borrow and lend hex on Ethereum in Q1. So that's very important, and you're also going to be able to borrow and lend things like Hedron and Maxi as well, most likely. So we have the ability to now go away and go to work on getting that up for you guys early next year. And we're very excited about it. Having this sort of borrowing and lending capability for Hex is going to be very important for it as a currency and for the community. I don't think people understand what it means to have flash loans and all these different things that come with it as well. It's going to be quite exciting. And I know it's all a bit confusing because the sacrifice is also for this leverage trading platform as well. But just more short term, this is actually very exciting for you guys as well, even if you didn't participate in the sacrifice or don't want to, because as Motley said, it is a tough time right now with markets and whatnot. It's still exciting for the community to know that we're going to have this on Ethereum relatively soon.
Yeah, and Hex came out or was launched, in a bear, and we've seen, what good projects can do when we come out of one. And if this is indeed, like I think and Motley thinks, could, has, excellent potential, this could possibly do the same. No expectations, but yeah, it's very exciting indeed. We have questions in the chat, so we are going to get to those. I'm marking them down, guys. So if you have any questions about the sacrifice, put them in there, and I'm going to star them. And I guess, what do we have first here? Vets, who got in on the first 2 blocks? Yeah, raise your hand in chat. So. Okay, and
I like they were running the Twitter Spaces, and Buck kept calling on Dylan to do stuff. And Dylan's like,
I'm busy.
I'm trying to get ready myself. Screw everyone else.
Yeah. Let's see. So yeah, this is one of my questions I was going to ask for clarification. So Hex Hart asks, can you guys explain the tiers, the first 10 blocks versus the first 500K for the SAC? And while you get to answering that, I'm going to bring up that table if I can find it here.
Yeah, so I don't know the numbers cold, and I'm talking to you from my phone, so I can't really speak to the table from memory. But basically, the tiering system is there to provide an incentive for people to just go in up front, so they get a slightly better rate the earlier they are. It's not a dramatically better rate, so if you're worrying about the tier thing, I would say don't worry too much about it. Just find out where we are currently, and if you're happy getting that rate, it doesn't matter what the other guys got. That's sort of a strange way to look at things, but I know it's natural for people to think like that. But what you care about is the rate that you currently get. And if you're talking about 2 protocols that you think have potential to be dominant on Pulse Chain, that have cross multi-chain potential, and a team that you believe in, and you're able to get in at the ground level at the bottom of a bear, then I think those are the things you probably want to think more about than worry about that rate. But everybody obsesses with it for some reason. I haven't sacrificed my family's money yet. I'll be doing that at the end. I don't even really care. It's not going to make a big difference, in the grand scheme of things. It's either going to be very successful or, worthless, right? That's how these things tend to be, right? So, but yeah, if you get in early, you get a slightly better rate, and that's just an extra incentive for people not to wait. So that's all it is.
Yeah. So we're looking at the table on screen right now. So we have, I guess, the first FOMO tier. With a PH, mind you, $500,000 bucks, and pool A tier 0 was another $1 million, taking that cap for the SAC up to 1.5 million. Tier 2 was another $3 million, taking the total up to 4.5. I think we're beyond that now, but how did that work? I guess with the first time period, the magic minutes, as we're also showing on screen now. Say if you invested, let's pick a round number, like $1,000, and some of these tiers got knocked out right off the bat, how would that divvy up, or is there an easy way to explain that?
Yeah, sure. So what happens is basically, if you're in the first 10 blocks, you and everybody else are prorated. So that first 500K, you're all sharing that best rate on that 500K, and then it goes into waterfalls into the next tier, et cetera, and so on and so forth. And then everybody after that magic minutes period is over is then just getting the rate at where it is currently. So I'm going to guess that, and we have to go look at this properly under a microscope, but I'm going to guess that magic minute basically filled up instantly. And the 500K tier filled up probably instantly.
Oh, that was
And we're
gone
like-
in the blink of an eye. Yeah. When I
Yeah,
looked, I
yeah.
mean, within 2 minutes, I think we were over like 3 million. So I'm assuming we got into that tier 1 area.
Yeah. So you're going to be sharing that rate on the FOMO tier with everybody else in that period. And like as I said, it doesn't really matter too much, right? You're in this for a 10x or a 100x. If it, like not it's not worth being risk investing in something.
Not a 2x G.
I mean,
Please, 2Xer, please.
I wouldn't. It's a lot of risk to take, right? So like the reward should be, the reward potential should be higher, right? Like if you're risking something for, a 2x return, that's maybe not such a good idea. And the other thing is, it's like, so when you're talking about like a discount of like maybe this guy's getting 10% more than you, it doesn't really matter. On a 10x or a 20x or a 30x or even a 2x, like it's sort of a, I don't know, illogical way to think about it. You know what I mean?
And being a middleman on these protocols, if they're successful, it's a fuck ton amount of money in the future. You're giving up a lot to, like you said, who would be in here for like 2, 3, 4, 5x, like 10x and above, and the yield that you generate in the meantime I think is going to be pretty amazing. As long as the protocol is successful and is used, it's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, nice. And think about it. We'll have positive operating leverage. So as Hex and all these other coins go up, the fees you're earning are increasing in value as well. So just keep that one in mind as well. There's a reason everybody who's rich in finance. It basically works in finance, right? It's because being an intermediary in these things in the real world and in crypto,
you always get paid. Win or lose, you get paid.
The richest guys in crypto are CZ, who came out of obscurity, a few years ago, and started Binance, right? The richest people in the world, JP Morgan, James Pierpont Morgan started JP Morgan. Right, he's one of the wealthiest people ever. There's a reason. Richard says, you want to get rid of middlemen. He's right. You do want to get rid of middlemen as much as you can, but it's also very good to be a middleman, and that's what this thing is basically offering. So yeah, that's the way I look at it. I think people obsess about the magic minutes thing, which in a way is good because it gets people really excited. But I said this with the fiat as well. I said, it's not going to matter what tier you got in at. What's going to matter is how successful we are as a platform and how successful Pulse Chain is, right? So the second thing's not really in my control. The first thing is to an extent.
I have a question for you, Buck. I know the primary focus for you guys is obviously going to be Pulse Chain, but I think you've pretty much committed now to launching on Ethereum, at least with fiat, having e-fiat. And at this rate, it looks like we're probably going to get that before we get Pulse Chain. So have you guys started to strategize anything yet as far as targeting some of these bigger players on Aave? Are the rates going to be competitive for those guys potentially in like the Ethereum or stables category? Have you guys started to plan that out yet? And do you know what that might look like?
Yeah, so we're going to have superior tokenomics to Aave, first of all, right? Because their tokenomics kind of suck. And you basically don't get the fees.
You don't get shit.
You don't get shit really. You get an inflationary reward token, right? So Aave is awesome, and these guys are awesome that they built it, but they're also pretty clever because they're basically keeping the fees.
They keep everything.
So when you buy their token, you're kind of not really getting that much for it, which is why it's probably only worth $1 billion. If it had the same tokenomics that we've got, the thing would be worth a lot more, probably by an order of magnitude.
I think that's why you see GMX growing so rapidly too, because they weren't as greedy.
Correct. Yeah, the GMX guys were really smart that way. Well, maybe not smart. They're very generous in a sense, like that. They've sort of allowed everybody to benefit from it. So we have much better tokenomics. We're going to have coins that they don't have, such as Hex and Hedron and things like that. We may add things like Shiba as well. Like we have to just kind of make a determination on that and just see what kind of interest we can spark from some of these other communities. I would like to vampire some of these other communities and just get them interested in what we're doing. So that's a possibility. But yeah, actually, we talk a lot about the Phamous.io protocol, but actually, the potential to do fiat on Ethereum is actually huge in terms of potential upside. Because if you look at Aave, it's worth about $1 billion with terrible tokenomics at the bottom of the bear market.
Right.
And Dylan, your cat.
Here, kitty.
I'm trying to do important stuff here. Your cat's going. Sorry. So Aave's worth about $1 billion at the bottom of the bear market, and it's got about 12 billion in TVL. Last time I checked, I don't know what it is today. But if we can get a slither of that business by having a little bit more flexibility, better fees, better tokenomics, it actually could potentially do very, very, very well, right? It's just something we haven't really spoken that much about because, frankly, it's a lot easier to explain the Phamous.io platform to people. Aave is really serving whales and kind of institutional style investors primarily, right? So your average kind of hexagon doesn't even really know what it does or why it's important, right? But the biggest guys in crypto are using it to do flash loans. They're using it to get yield on their stable coins. The really big money guys, some of them have literally hundreds of millions of dollars on Aave. Guys like Justin Sun.
All these third-party lending platforms, they all had loans taken out on Aave. And that's also what was paid back first before they collapsed.
And those guys will be back. Don't worry. There's going to be more of them. They're not. That's not disappearing. I promise. They're going to be back, and they'll be continue to use these things. So if we can get even a little slither of that, just by doing a little bit of outreach, So like I've been talking to guys like Eric Wall, et cetera, who want to short Hex, and who like the idea of shorting Hex, and having a platform where they could do it. They're all familiar with Aave. They use it themselves, right? I'm really hoping to get those kind of guys involved, and that's actually very potentially bullish for the community because Eric's obviously always been kind of laughing at us and calling us idiots, but like I think he's starting to realize that we have a real movement here. And then when he sees us building the cool fucking tools that they've got, he starts to go, oh shit, maybe we shouldn't completely discount these people. If they've got all the good stuff that Ethereum's got, which like between liquid loans and ourselves and some of the other guys, what they're building out, like we're going to quickly get all the cool stuff, for Pulse Chain, not from them but from the community. So like that's pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to that.
I thought a cool thing you guys did with at least I believe it was Phamous was the ability to essentially share your long or short and how well you're doing. Like that's going to be great marketing come the next bull cycle, and whether it be our community posting their stuff or the haters posting their shorts, like it's gonna be great marketing, and I think that'll gain a lot of virality throughout crypto Twitter next cycle for sure. I think it's just a fun one because everyone always wants to brag, and all these influencers also like want to show their amazing trades. So giving them the tools to actually try to short Hex and then publicly post it everywhere, whether they think they're showing off or not, like they're going to be promoting us 24/7. So I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, well, we're doubling down on all that stuff, obviously, and with our completely unconnected free protocol, Fatty.io, that you can use for free on Alpha. We're going to make it very easy to track these guys, so you can see what happens to them. So it should be a lot of fun. I think there'll be some good adversarial tweets going on between the community. And this stuff's actually very important because it's like it gets people involved. You know what I mean? People will start to watch somebody like Eric Wall, say, look, I just put this short on, this thing's going to zero, and then Mike Alfred's going to, double down on it and go, yeah, I'm getting in as well, right? I don't even know how to use Ethereum, but I'm going to go on Pulse Chain just so I can short Hex to zero.
We saw that same effect just in the Twitter Spaces when you and Eric Wall were having that discussion, and I think Udi was giving him shit. It's just like, bro, like all your users and followers are coming into a Hex space just because you're in there hanging out. And like you said, that was also when he was starting to realize, like, oh, there's actual, like, the real utility, the real protocols that he likes on Ethereum are being built over here. And then you have the zealous community that we are. Like, those two things usually add up to potentially a very good investment down the road.
Yeah. Oh my God. Absolutely. Like, the problem is guys like Eric Wall are smart and nerdy. And the thing is those people are always minorities, right? Like
too far on the bell curve.
too far on the bell curve. There's a reason Apple products are really simple. There's no keyboard on it, right? The original.
You don't get buttons. Just a touch screen before you knew that you didn't want buttons.
Yeah, there's a reason Americans don't want like some highly complex Japanese or German, thing with 50,000 buttons and settings, right? We like something simple that always works and is sort of ubiquitous, right? And there's a bigger market for this in our community because we have just very average American people, and there's lots of us. Way more than there are Eric Walls and Udis in the world. So we're gonna get all these people into the Pulse Chain community. That's the strategy. We get literally 100 million Americans, and whereas they're gonna be on some esoteric Starknet, Starkware, Brandon Stark, Game of Thrones thing, having a LARP party.
Great tech though. Great tech.
Great tech. But like. Yeah. But no, we're going to have somebody that can speak to them plainly in their language through Richard. I think it's going to be pretty good.
Agreed.
Questions in the chat. We have a few here. First one is from me. Buck, are you streaming from a Ferrari right now, or a Lambo, or something else?
I'm in my underwear in my second bedroom. And I stink because I didn't shower because I woke up at 4 a.m. and I've been talking since then. So that's
that very detailed explanation.
So it's kind of the opposite of.
Thank you for that picture, Buck. That's great.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, so back to I guess the 10% FOMO. Base Clips asks, what do you mean only a 10% difference? SAC multiplier for promo is 4, whereas last tier is 1. Isn't that a 400% difference?
Yeah, 10% is just a throwaway number, but as you can imagine, those things will disincentivize people as you go, right? And there's only a finite amount that was available at those lower rates, right? So that's just an extra incentive, right?
The smallest amount available was the first tier, and then that blew
up
instantly.
And people are only getting a portion of that, right? Yeah. So it's sort of illogical, but like these guys always worry about this stuff, like just look at where the rate is currently and worry about that. Like it doesn't matter what happens, to the small portion earlier. It's kind of like people make this point about like Bitcoin. It went up 1,000,000%. But it's like nobody bought it back then. Like it's like it's almost a made up number, right? Like there's a couple of guys that got in, but like it wasn't something that was really even investable at that stage. So those numbers don't even really matter.
We do the same thing with Richard Hard and Hex with the 10,000. It's like how many of us got that? Some of us probably did get it. Some that have been here since the beginning, but like how much did we invest on that day? Like very little comparatively, I'm sure.
Yep. I'm one of the guys that got one sat Hex on Bidesk. So I don't know. I don't even know what that return is, but hey, it might have been $1,000 or something like that. You
Right.
know, like it's not.
It's nice,
It's not like
but
yeah. It's not like I put $1 million or $100,000 on that. You know, so you know, it's sort of a bit of a, I don't know, silly thing to worry too much about. Look at the current rate, then evaluate everything else that we just talked about. You know, what the team's doing, what the projects are, you know, what the viability of Pulse is. Like I think Motley was very good on that. Like, yeah, definitely, that's important. All those things are what you should be focusing on. Worrying about what $500,000 of SAC money got is a bit childish, in my opinion.
I
Like,
think
that's the past.
anything, if getting 5 millions within a couple minutes, I think that's pretty indicative of how much interest and potential success in the future this project might have. So to count peanuts on the first day of sacrifice, you might regret it later. A lot of people would have said the same thing that chose not to invest in Hex early on. Same kind of concept. It's too late and it doesn't even exist yet.
Yep. And I saw people, you know, like, oh man, I missed it. Oh man, I missed it. No, I mean, it's still open, so you can still get in, and you're literally still getting in on pretty much the ground floor. It's just, you know, it's okay, guys. It's okay.
Yeah.
So, speaking of which, I guess a question from that: do you have a date as to when this will close, or? And I know we have multiple addresses out there as well.
So we'll let it ride for the time being. We can close it at any time. One thing that would definitely be a hard constraint on it is if we want to launch on Ethereum, we need to finalize the balances, right? So I expect, based on the demand today, like we'll probably let this run for, through Christmas. That would be my guess, but yeah, I reserve the right to change that if situations change. Like if, you know, some whales start, you know, throwing in hard, then maybe we'll close it. But you know, we have something pretty good here, we think. So, you know, we're actually pretty happy to keep more of it in the treasury. You know, from my perspective, I'm happy to get as many of the community members involved, because that's an important thing in terms of getting all of your awareness of it and making sure that you're talking to your friends about it. So that's sort of my incentive to leave it open. I'm not actually so worried about raising more. I'm just trying to onboard more of you, in a sense, and to get more of you guys interested in it. So that's sort of how I think about it. Because I'd be pretty happy just to keep all of this in the treasury, like literally all of it. But the problem with that is then you guys don't care as much about it. So that's sort of what I'm balancing.
And speaking of members of community, were there any, I guess, famous whale addresses that you saw? Maybe you haven't even had time to look, or maybe other people from the team have chimed in, or was it pretty much, you know, kind of, I guess, I want to call it maybe in quotes, air quotes, average accounts, or nothing out of the ordinary?
Yes. The Hedron deployer sacked over 100K.
Oh,
So that's cool.
There you go. All right.
Was that the 100? I don't remember the contract address, but was it the 193,000, or was it closer to 100,000?
It was, I think, 119,000.
Okay.
It was 60 billion Hedron even.
I think the largest I saw. Oh, I did see that one. I think the largest one I saw was like 193,000 SAC.
And the largest SAC that we got at once was $900 million worth of Hedron. So,
What?
or I'm sorry, $900,000 worth of
nice.
Hedron. Yeah. Sorry.
I was like, huh?
SAC is over.
Too many zeros. Sorry.
Good job, Dylan.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry.
So 900 million Hedron?
$900,000 worth of Hedron? Is that what you said?
$900,000 worth of
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
Wow.
The devs
I think I might know who that is.
the devs basically said to me they need to learn more about Hedron now.
We're vested now, guys.
Was their response, and they said they'll make sure that ICOSA it gets supported shortly. So I'm quite happy that we've done it this way because we've gotten a lot of maxi stuff as well, and I'm trying to get these guys to pay more attention to the community and all the things that people are doing. But it's hard. It's hard. These guys are busy and they've got their own lives and things like that. But I find that this will give them a good incentive to really focus hard on what these things are.
There's some big whales in them for sure. So
yeah, exactly.
Let's see here. Other questions. Hexpedition. Hi guys, just joined the chat. Is it a good time to sack now or wait? Going to do ETH sack. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Buck, did pop into the Twitter Spaces chat. I think ETH might be preferred, possibly, right now from you.
Yep. Yeah, so we'll take anything really, so long as it's got liquidity, and it's not like a total sham coin. But we would like more ETH, just the way it's balanced currently. We've got a lot of Hedron, so we're probably overweight in Hedron. We're probably underweight in Hex. And we're probably underweight in the Ethereum. And stable coins, we're pretty happy to have whatever, because that gives us more flexibility to buy things that we're underweight on. So just any of that stuff is pretty helpful. And you can also sack on other L1s, but it's a different address. So I just want to make sure I say that. It's a different address. Make sure you use the other address, not the primary ETH address for those other L1s as well.
So don't be like the guy sending his coins from BSC to the Ethereum address.
Ooh.
It's pretty funny. This guy's at an office Christmas party in London. It sounded like, and he sounded pretty drunk. And he's like, "Hey man, I just sent
what's the deal with that?
Don't drink and sack.
Don't drink and sack, guys.
It's gone. It's gone, sir.
And it's gone.
I generally advise you never to drink and do crypto. Period.
Yeah, it's terrible. Done
drinking
about
crypto.
I have done it before. It's not good.
I'm gonna create a like a ledger device. Maybe I'll have a sacrifice for this. We can
breathalyzer.
It'll be like a ledger. Just to stop you.
Not a bad idea.
All right, what is next? What's up, D'Artagnan? Peace and blessings to you and your family. Thank you, brother. And same to you. My family and extended, I think just about everybody but me has some sort of flu right now, and it is nasty.
Yeah, something's been going around. I keep seeing in Telegram.
It is
people keep
everywhere. Professional athletes. I mean, it's, I guess, easily spread. And some people get it really, really bad. Let's see, Michael Light. Oh, we can do that one later. What will Richard say about this project? Have he said something? Why do we not just stick to Richard's products? Well, Richard actually mentioned that he would like to see something built like this.
Yes,
there's probably a clip.
Basically begging. If you go on my Twitter, I posted, I think my second to last tweet was a Richard Hart video requesting somebody to build this. I can link it in the chat if you wanted to watch it really quick.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I guess another question. Lights out. Is it possible to copy pasta the Phamous contract on a hypothetical Pulse L2?
That's above my pay grade.
Contact the people you hired.
No, they're my partners. No, not people I hired.
That's a big difference.
Yeah. But they're the right guys to ask that question too.
Well, hopefully it won't even be needed early on, because Pulse Chain is supposed to be eliminating the issues of the high Ethereum gas fees. So that'll be much later in the future, I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, when you say that from I tend to think from an investment commercial sense, right? Not so much from a technical sense. And I go, geez, I would love to have that problem, because that means we're all stupidly fucking rich.
What would be cool for you to possibly consider in the future, Buck, is I believe, is GMX on Arbitrum or Optimism? Do you guys know? It's Arbitrum, isn't it?
Arbitrum, yeah.
So it'd be interesting if you guys did, if no expectations, obviously. But if you launched on their competitor layer 2 and go to Optimism, like, okay, they have GMX on Arbitrum, but then all of a sudden, Phamous shows up on Optimism, the number 2 layer 2. So that'd be something interesting to consider in the future.
I
Yeah,
sent
there's
that.
lots of
I sent a
interesting
video
things
in the
to
private
consider.
chat, by the way.
I got it. Oh, go ahead, Buck. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's cool. Let's hear from Richard. I like listening to him talk rather than myself.
Well, let me pull this up here. Wasn't prepared to do it just yet, but let's go.
But yeah, let's go.
Not able to sell? No, they can't. Short it anywhere? No, they can't. Wish they could. Love it when people get wreck shorting. Try and tell them not to. Tell them it's a stupid idea. They don't listen. So if you're going to get wreck shorting, I wish you could get wreck shorting X. No derivatives though. Spot. Or when they have to settle and get liquidated, that buys the real coin, not this derivative shit that doesn't ever buy the real coin. Bot able to sell.
And there you have it.
Yeah, so he started talking first about spot. So when he says that, he's referring to something like Aave or Fiat. So that's what he's after. I don't think something like GMX existed when he said that, because when he says derivative, I think he's talking more about the CEX stuff.
Yeah, BitMEX, Binance.
Yeah, those sort of things. I think seeing it DeFi version of this, I think he'd probably have a more enlightened view. But to the person's question, why can't we just do Richard Hart stuff? It's like your currency is only useful if they take it places. Like think about like a MasterCard or a Visa versus like an American Express or a Diners Club or Discover or these other things. I don't know. You can use Visa everywhere and MasterCard everywhere, right? But those other things you can't really use anywhere, right? Or at least that's the way it was when I lived in America 20 years ago. But that's kind of an important thing to kind of understand about this stuff. The more useful things that you can do with your hex, the more valuable it becomes, and the more people who will use it. And that's all in your self-interest. So having a borrowing and lending platform that serves effectively as a DeFi bank is a very useful, good thing for your ecosystem. And it's not competition for your hex bag. It's actually providing an essential service for your hex bag. So in a sense, you should be very, very happy that we're doing this. This is very different from us starting a meme coin or something completely unrelated that doesn't really enhance the ecosystem, right? And I'm not hating on anybody creating meme coins. I don't like them personally, but I'm just pointing out the difference. A lot of people don't seem to make that causal link between something that's useful and provides a service like Uniswap, for example, versus something that's just an outright competitor, right? Like you could say Bitcoin is a competitor of Hex, right? Without Uniswap, Hex basically wouldn't exist the same way it does. We wouldn't be anywhere nearly as successful. And Aave is the next biggest thing to happen to crypto after Uniswap. So you guys should be pretty happy that we're doing it. And I know Richard's happy that we're doing it deep down inside. The only reason he's not going to talk about it is because there are risks with these things, and he can't properly fully vet these things until they're there. But what I predict will happen is after about a year of it working well, he's going to start to talk about
Send
it.
people there. Like, go ahead. Go use this product if you want short Hex,
bro. Precisely.
Yeah. And that's and I mean, I don't have to be as politically correct as Buck does since he's a founder. And I was talking about this on Twitter Spaces. I don't necessarily prescribe to this narrative that we don't want Pulse Chain to be a ghost chain, but at the same token, just because there's 150, 200 projects, it doesn't mean a lot of them have any sort of real market fit or help amplify the ecosystem that we're trying to create here. I think what Buck and his team are doing are giving us protocols and tools that a lot of these other very popular chains have. And till this moment, none of them are going to be all of a sudden like, yeah, we'll take Hex or we'll take Hedron. Like, it was probably never going to happen. Maybe it happens in the future, So if we didn't have community members like Buck and his devs that were willing to do this, we probably never have access to those kind of tools. So like, I think it's very different than just, oh, another sacrifice, another project. I think if anything, it has a chance for success and over the long term, amplify our other bags of Pulse Chain, Pulse X, Hex. It's this product.
We have awesome sound effects on the show, from cats to video games. I don't know. Anyway,
Typing.
yes. Benny Blanco, is there a time-weighted thing to determine USD value of non-stables that were SEC'd?
Benny, the express details are in the SAC document on this towards the end of the document. I believe it's a daily, some sort of average taken from Nomics.
Open and close on Nomics, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. Yep. Yeah. But he asked about stables.
He said
non-stables.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So, and this is exactly what we did for Fiat, and it works pretty well. We didn't have any complaints. So I think we'll follow the same process. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And next, speaking of token, how you doing, Dylan? Let's see. Hex Phamous token. Get it? It's a play on the word. So Fiat is spot settled and Phamous is just an Oracle liquidation trade ? I don't really understand the purpose not to just have spot settled. Can you explain why?
Yeah, it's a good question. So different users will need different things, right? So sometimes you if you're managing a portfolio, you'll go buy the stocks directly, right? But if you're managing lots and lots and lots of stock money, you're going to need to use derivatives to move your stuff around, right? Because otherwise, the market starts to see you buying or things like that. So there's different use cases depending on who you are, and both are required. So they are fundamentally different in that, you're actually with Fiat, you're moving spot crypto around, and whales need to be able to do that, right? They can't really, the amount of money they've got, they'll move the market very quickly if they just start buying on Uniswap slowly. Right, so there's a lot of nuances to this, and then other people want to be able to limit their total risk by going, more levered, and these sort of derivative, player versus player type solutions allow you to do that. So, when you think, 30x leverage is risky, yes, it is. That's correct, but the idea here is that you're risking less of your collateral to do it, right? Whereas, if you're moving spot around, you're getting, maybe, 30% leverage, 40% leverage, and you're risking everything, to do it, right? So it's just, there's different use cases for different people. So I'll be using both of these things for different purposes at different times. And if you're a whale, for example, and you want to buy a hex, you can put a long on the Fans.io, right, in anticipation of your buy, and you can reduce your slippage once you do start buying, basically by pushing the price up, right? So you can do all sorts of kind of fun financial engineering things, and this is what professional traders have to do day in, day out when they move large sums of money in the real world, and that's going to be the same here on Pulse Chain.
Boom. Not sure I understand the follow-up from Phamous. Why not offer both on one platform? Okay, Motley, you responded there. Yeah, two completely separate code bases, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess what he's saying is why not have one thing? You could, and we could even build something on top of this that does both. Just as a token. That's possible, but yeah, they're two different code bases with different risk profiles. It's just safer and simpler to keep them separate at that level. But yeah, you could probably just bolt on something Like there's one guy I know who's doing something that basically just goes around and buys all the different yielding products on Pulse Chain. I think it's called Win-Win or whatever. So somebody can do things like that if they want. It's not necessary to do it at the protocol level.
You'd rather fork something that's been battle tested already, right? Kind of the same mantra that Richard does. It's just like, I'd rather have something that's been proven, like Aave, that's been through the stress of multiple markets now. And then, yeah, GMX is new, but it's still better to like fork these codes and then, tweak as little as possible so you don't run into actual code issues.
Not me this time.
Absolutely. So we probably wanted to do leverage trading as an original idea, but GMX was too new at that point, and we thought it'd be safer to do Aave, right? We didn't have as much history on GMX, so we went and did Aave first for that exact reason. But yeah, different users are going to use Fiat, and different users are going to use Phamous.io, and some will overlap, some won't. But that it's like why do we have stocks and derivatives? Why don't we just buy stocks, right? It's the truth is you need both to manage risk appropriately, right? It's a little bit of a kind of professional thing, maybe that the nuances maybe are lost on people, but these are requirements for risk management on Pulse Chain.
All right, guys, I got to head out. It's nice talking to you guys. Congrats on the launch, and I'll see you guys later. I anxiously await Fiat on Ethereum because I think you guys are going to get there before Pulse Chain. So.
Thank you for the segue.
Yep. Later, guys.
See you later, Molly.
So speaking of Fiat, well, I had one more. Any idea? I know we're literally in the SAC phase, but I guess people will. I think I already saw people ask like, when are like preliminary totals out or anything like that? Is anything like that going to happen, or wait until the entire SAC is over? When can people expect any updates on that? Without any expectations, of course.
Yeah. So we'll probably publish something preliminary just to get people to stop asking us about this. What did I get? But like, it's in any case, we'll probably publish something preliminary soon. But give the boys some time.
Yeah.
It's been a big week for all of us. Yeah, and it doesn't matter anyway, because it's like, if I give you those balances now, you can't go trade it, right? So I think a better question for these guys to worry about is when are they going to get their fiat? Like that's
speaking of, like, that was, I guess, next on the list there. So Fiat, I don't remember where I saw it or heard you possibly say it could be first quarter of next year.
Yeah. So I mean, in a sense, we'll look to get a testnet version of Fiat up on Ethereum shortly, and we'll begin testing it. And we would like that to be early Q1. But we gotta see how things go. But I'm gonna start kind of really putting the pedal to the metal on advancing things on that front now that we're done with all this marketing stuff. Well, Dylan's going to continue to do the marketing stuff, but I'm going to be more focused on pushing the other side of things now. And we would like that to be out in early Q1. It's possible there's things that we don't anticipate that could slow that down, but we're happy with the code. We're getting it audited. We'll hopefully have that out to you guys soon. Probably before Pulse Chain, most likely.
All right, and maybe the last question for the ecosystem, and then we can move on to a couple more newsworthy, broader items before we close out. So Fiat, will launch first. Can you explain why you want to get that out before anything else, even though it's going to be on Ethereum and not Pulse Chain? Why aren't you waiting for Pulse Chain? Why put Fiat out when you're going to do it?
Yeah, so there's a few reasons. One, I think it's a way to onboard more users. And since we can't do anything about when Pulse Chain launches, I have no control over that. It's a step in the right direction, at least, rather than just sitting on our posteriors waiting for Pulse Chain. It gives us the potential to onboard potentially thousands of more users and get them comfortable with us and let them use these things for a while, and so that they begin to trust it as well as a protocol, and what we're doing exactly. And that will help us speed up what we're doing when Pulse Chain does come, because then we'll already have this track record on Ethereum, which is very important. The other side of it is the guys at Sack for Fiat have been very patient and lovely about the delay with Pulse Chain, but I would like to get them some liquidity as well. So this is a step in that direction for them as well, right? So they'll be getting the majority of the eFiat token as a free airdrop, basically, to them in recognition of their freedom of speech. And as such, that's a nice thing for them as well. And yeah, I think just strategically, I think it makes sense. We have the time to do it, and we have the inclination to do it. And yeah, I think the community is going to be happy that we've got it. And I think also it gives us a cross-chain brand as well, which I think is going to be very interesting. It's like a weird way to onboard people, because if we were just on Pulse Chain, they might not think too highly of us, but if they're running on Ethereum as well, they might go, actually, these guys are pretty legit, right? In the same way that you don't look at a lot of things on BSC because it has a bad reputation, right? So usually something on Ethereum gets that sort of gold star in people's minds. So yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking.
All right, cool. And also, I guess before we move away from that, so eFiat will be eFiat, but whenever that one fine day we do get Pulse Chain, Fiat will be live. I guess what's the best way to explain it? Separately on Pulse Chain, like that eFiat isn't going to transfer or get copied to the official fiat. Is that the best way to explain it? I'm sure there's a better way to explain it.
Yeah, that's probably a better way than I'll do it. Yeah, they're not linked. So they're going to have two different prices. They're going to do different volumes. We don't know which one's going to be more successful, but it doesn't really matter, right? Yeah, we just want more success and more fees. So that's the thing. Yeah.
A couple final questions. When's SAC over? I believe you said at least maybe through Christmas, possibly the holiday season. That was like the latest update that you discussed briefly.
Yeah, that's probably about right. I would say like early January would probably be the outer limit. Yep.
Do we know what pool is the SAC currently in? Shoot, I closed my window, but I would think it's maybe past the 5 million tier, but I have not looked in a minute. FOMophobic, is there a minimum amount to sacrifice? Can I sacrifice $100?
You sure can. You can sacrifice as little as you want. Just make sure that you do it on the right chain. If you're one of these guys,
don't do it drunk at a Christmas party.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you can sacrifice $100. That's fine. I've seen people sacrifice less than that for other projects. Not so much ours, but I was looking at somebody who got like one BUSD the other day. So that's fine.
Cute.
Yeah.
Bam Bam wants to know. You guys are getting in these last minute questions because I'm moving on. What about Phamous? Will there be a copy on Pulse Chain? No, Phamous, correct me if I'm wrong, is launching on Pulse Chain, and that's it, right?
That's the party line, yes, sir. Phamous is a Pulse Chain product. Have no expectations of other chains.
Although it would be glorious one fine day, but no expectations, of course.
No expectations. Yes.
All right. Well, let's tie a bow on the Fiat famous fatty ecosystem for this episode. I know, Dylan, you might have to go here any minute, but I had a couple, I guess, market topics for Buck, and you can chime in, Dylan, if you want, just get his opinion on them while we have him, because I know the hours are off and you've been up a long time. So I guess just first on the list, I mean, go through these as quick as you want. I'm just going to name out a topic and just shout out an opinion on it, if you like, Buck. So grayscale discount, it's now at like 47%. It's like a new high. How high do you think this thing can go? Like, is it, once we see the peak in discount, is that the end of the bear? Any thoughts on that one?
Sure. So that discount is getting quite attractive, I think, actually. I don't know all the details and nuances of the trust itself, so I'm not sure what happens exactly in the case of insolvency of its current owner. But usually these things are ring fenced so that it just basically someone else becomes the new owner and it doesn't really affect you. So that's one thing I would have to double check. But I do think that the discount is there, logically speaking, to reflect the fees that you have to pay for the trust, and that the fees in that trust are quite high. So it does make sense to me that it would trade at a discount through normal market environments. But we're in a particularly bad market environment, and that discount is sort of implying that things are really bad. And people are scrounging for any liquidity they can get. So they're willing to take a massive haircut on that. So to me, that kind of stuff usually makes me quite excited. And I saw Kathy from ARK bought I think she bought the BTC one. I'd probably be more interested in buying the Ethereum one myself, but I'm sort of more bullish on the upside in Ethereum over Bitcoin medium term. So yeah, I can't imagine it really getting that much deeper, unless there's some sort of credit risk to that trust that I don't understand. So that's probably the only thing that I could couch that. If the trust itself has a credit risk, meaning that if it goes bankrupt, you lose all the BTC, then that would make sense that it could go higher. But if it's just because people are walking away from money because they need liquidity so bad and they're so afraid, then I can't imagine it going too much deeper than that. Like when I look at other fund structures around the world, they're almost never that high. That discount's almost never that big. So it's quite impressive.
And you did bring up Ethereum. So one of the biggest proponents of crypto, I guess, in politics was Cynthia Loomis. And of course, now she's out. I don't know if you saw this. I'm sure you did. Saying Ether is now a security, and that her bill could have stopped FTX, which lol. But yeah, I think she is saying it's a security because of the way it moved from proof of work to proof of stake. The inability to unstake tokens right now makes it susceptible to being considered a security. So any quick thoughts on that, first of all, and then we can get in just, I guess, some quick thoughts on regulation in general.
That's disappointing coming from her, and it sounds to me like it's this trend from Bitcoin maxis to try to piss on Ethereum because they feel it's some sort of threat to them. So they're actually trying to ask for more regulation and more Sam Bankman-Frieds to try to protect their position. I find that really intellectually disingenuous. Like, look, I own Bitcoin quite a decent amount, right? And I own quite a bit of Ethereum and lots of other stuff. And I just want crypto to do well in general. It's really dumb to me to really get too jihadi about your one crypto. You want the space to do well, and I think that's what's going to happen anyway. And we should be figuring out ways to embrace what's good about crypto rather than trying to protect Bitcoin's dominance through these sort of weird narratives. And then in terms of the regulatory side, it's like this stuff is not going away. And the boomers that are currently in charge, the Pelosi's of the world, they're in their 70s and 80s. You're going to see the millennials and Zoomers, basically take over very soon over the next 5-10 years. And these people all know how to use crypto, and they like crypto. They don't want to buy the McMansion from their mom or their granddad, right? So I think that's regulation's going to need to find a way to accommodate crypto, in my opinion, not the other way around.
I hope you're right about that.
I think in a democracy, it absolutely will happen. Like they can try and kill it now, but ask Dylan how many mutual funds he's invested in. How many mutual funds are you invested in, Dylan?
He had to.
Oh, he left.
Out. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Dylan doesn't know what a mutual fund is. You know what I mean? So that's just the reality. Whereas everybody his age is likely to have at least dabbled with crypto, and it's the exciting new thing, the same way the internet was 20 years ago. And it still sucks the same way the internet sucked 20 years ago, but it's going to get better. And we're seeing that every day.
I just put his comment on the stream. I guess he's still listening. So he says 0 in all caps, LOL. So there you go. Yeah. And like part of me also thinks is like, okay, well, it's so big now. So you're just going to allow Bitcoin and that's it. You're going to let these hundreds of billions of dollars, one day, trillions of dollars leave this country. That money's just going to go somewhere else. So, people will go where their money's treated best. So if you try to kill it here, if you're a politician, it just doesn't make any sense, because you're going to see all that money leave and benefit some other nation or nations. So.
Yeah, correct. I think they're gonna come down heavy-handed on some of these really bad actor influencer types on YouTube that go around shilling absolute garbage and saying irresponsible things to people. They're gonna come down on those people, and you're gonna see them get fined. You're gonna see that sort of stuff, but they're not gonna come after people that are earnestly trying to create very interesting, very useful technology. And there's enough people in the government now that are invested in this stuff. There's enough people in the traditional finance world as well that are invested in this stuff now, that like they're not going to shoot themselves in the foot, that way in a democratic country. Won't happen, right? Yeah. You can try and do it in authoritarian countries, but even in those places, then you just provide an even greater incentive to just break the law. So I'm really not too worried about it. In reality, all this stuff with the SEC, I think it blows over.
Good. Good news from the chat. Hexologist is back in 4 minutes. He's going to do a live stream, so bookmark that. That'll give us probably a nice little amount of time. Just to finish up, any last questions? Lights out. Did Buck ever cover his thoughts on the overall markets in general? In parentheses, macro. Do you have a 2-minute version?
Yeah, 2-minute version. So the forward-looking data is pretty terrible. We are going to get a CPI number soon. But yeah, you should probably just expect markets to continue to go kind of sideways down, would be my sort of guess. But having said that, I'm buying pretty much all risk assets again for the first time in a while. Slowly. So like I don't know when the bottom's in. It could already be in. But I like buying things now that are cheap, and that I think are going to be cool to have in 5 years. So I think that's a good way to look at it.
I dabbled a little bit in June at those lows and put a decent amount in, I guess, starting September, October. And like I've said before on this channel, I was like, I'm not concerned about buying the exact bottom. I think some things have bottomed, but I'm not going to tell you which ones they are because I have no idea. But if you spread it around in DCA, I think a few years from now you're going to be a nice winner. So
nice.
Buck,
yeah, diversification. Diversification is a great thing. We don't talk about it enough, obviously, because we're trying to promote Hex and Richard Hart coins. But I have a very diverse portfolio, guys, and you should too. Just FYI.
I agree. I've always preached diversity, and I love Hex. It's the whole. I think Pulse Chain will be my top favorite assets, but at the same time, just as an overall, I guess, holder of assets and being a responsible human and investor. Diversity is good, so you can't. It can't be Trump.
That's actual financial advice.
My opinion.
No. That's actual good financial advice. You can go stand in a court anywhere in the world and talk to any regulator in the world and go, diversification is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Right. And they will all say, yep, that's totally fine. That's totally kosher. So yeah, it's actual good idea to be diversified with your investments, guys.
Indeed. Last one, real quick. Hexo goes live in about 2 minutes. Where did he go? Hextronaut put out a just a question, and pretty much the main thing on Twitter. Is it good for Hexkins to good accounts large stakes that are bleeding out? And the poll's interesting because it's like kind of 50-50. You have an opinion on that? Like let it bleed or good account it and have it gone that way.
Yeah.
I would put you on the spot.
I think it's actually good to good account it because I think a lot of times that's stuff that people have forgotten about that's unlikely to hit the ecosystem again, maybe ever or for a long time. Whereas when you let it bleed out, I forget, does half of it go to the OA? Or does it just go to the stakers?
I'm pretty sure half goes that way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then in that case, then it doesn't really matter. Then I'd say it's probably a wash.
Someone in chat correct me if I'm wrong, but
yeah,
sure.
Yeah. If it all goes to stakers, then I'm a fan of good accounting. If half of it's going to the OA, then I'm probably pretty happy to let that bleed out and go to the OA.
Rock on. All right, well, this is the part of the show where I normally ask Motley who he likes in the UFC card tomorrow night, but he's not here. So any Rough and Rowdy fans out there, there's a Rough and Rowdy event tonight, which is the absolute worst fighting you can watch on television, but it's also the most entertaining. Amateur boxers just beating the snot out of each other. It's absolutely wonderful. So I'll probably check that out here in a couple hours. You ever seen Rough and Rowdy, Buck?
I've only seen that Big Bad Booty Daddy, and that's one of my favorite things I've ever seen on YouTube ever. If that guy's on it, I'll watch. Other than that, it loses its appeal after a while to me. But that guy was awesome.
Nice. All right. Well, I see Hexo is going live here in a second, so I just wanted to thank Dylan, Buck, of course, for coming by. Congrats on the sack. You guys are, got another one in the books. Everybody's, excited for When Pulse, but also Fiat, whenever that may be. So, congrats, man.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, everybody, for all the help with everything this week. It's been awesome. We're just getting started. Thanks.
Outstanding. And thank you, Motley Investor, also for popping by. Thanks, SJ and everyone in chat. Bitfinesse, what's going on? Benny Blanco and too many to mention. I see Dylan still in the chat, so what's up? And that'll do it for this week. Hope we got pretty much every question that you had answered. Again, thanks, Buck, for his time. Just a pleasure having him on. I would, have you on every week if you could, man, because I'm love traditional finance stuff as well and diversification, obviously crypto. So it's always cool to talk to you, man. And we'll send you guys over to Hexo. Any last words, Buck, before we go?
We're happy to come in anytime and go enjoy Hexo's stream.
Awesome. That'll do it for this week's show, everybody. Thank you. Take care. Have a great weekend and great next week. Cheers, everybody.